are you in Austin, Texas, to tell me that my language of Norwegian, right? My father's Norwegian, my mother's Swedish, to tell me that our language is wrong, and you guys are creative guys, so you invented a new word that Ubisoft uses now. This actually, it keeps saying it actually is offensive to Scandinavia. This is not a real word, and that the game keeps using it, okay? Assassin's Creed Valhalla is incredibly offensive. They made up a word, and that's now the title of the character in the game. That is like, well, this guy is a samurai. This guy made it up. Yeah, it's awesome. Like, this is worse than Yasuke, okay? This is worse than Yasuke. This is worse than this thing, okay? My people didn't build Sweden and Norway and Denmark and so on, so some people in America could make up words about it. This is seriously racism. This is crime. Hi there. In this video, I want us to forget about Yasuke, okay? Forget about Assassin's Creed's Shadows, and actually, you know, there are other people also getting offended, right? This here is my ancestors' old Swedish sword, okay? They also have katanas, right, in Sweden. And basically, of course, Assassin's Creed's Shadow has been, you know, exposed, lambasted and so on, right? And every day is some new bad news about Ubisoft, right? And the thing is that I have, of course, never played this game, Valhalla. I have never bought Ubisoft's game in my life, and I never will. There have been terrible games, and always will be. But I started thinking, like, you know what? I'm pretty sure their previous game is also probably equally offensive, like Yasuke, right? If not even worse, right? So today, I started going to the wiki, and I went over the bit of Valhalla bit, and I'm like, oh yeah, this game is also incredibly racist and offensive to my culture, right? Oh, but I guess no one thought about that because we are, you know, white or whatever. But seriously, right? No jokes here at all. I would never make a joke. But it's really, really weird to think about it, because in this video here then, we're gonna go over, right, the issues of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I keep saying, I haven't played this game, and I refuse to play the game, but just by looking at it, right, like the main character's name doesn't make any sense. The first thing I immediately focused on was the names, okay? All the characters' names are terrible. One of the woman's name is called, she's called like Insane Lady. They all have bullshit names. It's better like Vinland Saga, right? The manga and anime. In that manga, they all have like actual Scandinavian names, you know. Like they have actual names, like Tor, Torkel and so on. Ylva, there's like actual names in Sweden and Denmark. But in this game here, basically every character I can read about in the wiki have made up names. I mean, at that point, I'm like, this is kind of offensive. Like seriously, this game is offensive to my culture, to Scandinavian culture. It really is. I'm gonna go over this video here, guys. Hope you subscribe, press the like button. But seriously, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure they failed massively too. You've seen that they have a goddamn female Shieldmaiden that of course never existed, right? At least samurais existed, right? This never existed, right? It's complete bullshit, right? So let's talk about it. But before we get into Valhalla, there are two things I really want to address though, which is incredibly insane, right? With people defending the Yasuke thing. And honestly, one way to think about is going over all the dumbest things I've seen. People are lying about Yasuke and the weird, like, non-argument people make. Like, in my previous videos, I get a lot of comments, right? And half the comments are just deranged, delusional. Like, well, no one ever said whatever. Like, they're so bad, okay? But what I want to address here now, though, I think is very important to actually point out here, and also one reason why I say people are so agitated, right, by the whole Ubisoft thing and the defenders of Ubisoft and the Yasuke thing, right? That's that basically, imagine that you have this black guy, right? He lives in America and he studies the Japanese history. He loves Japan, he's really into it, he plays all the Japanese games. Do you think he knows more or less about Japanese history than a Japanese average person? He probably knows way more, right? I think immediately one reason people are so angry at the whole thing, and the whole method of it, the whole culture war thing, is because people on the left, which are clearly racist then, they keep saying that, well, this person is an actual Japanese woman. Of course she knows the... What are you talking about, okay? The average Japanese person doesn't know much more history about their country than you do, okay? Like seriously, the random nerd in America that loves Japan will know more about Japanese history than the random Japanese ever. It's obvious. So I bring it up, right, because I'm just frustrated with this incredible, absurd lies and straight up racism that people do. Because every time I talk to, and I mean this literally, like every time I make a video or a post about Yasuke, I always people say, well, this actual Japanese person disagrees with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's not an argument. It's not an argument saying that a Japanese person doesn't like me or whatever. Because, again, a Japanese person doesn't automatically know their own history. I had this argument with an American guy about this thing. I told him that, well, I think we both know that I know way, way more about American history than you do, right? It's just like, I was like, fine, you know more about Washington and Lincoln or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So just because you're born in America, you're born in the USA, doesn't mean that you know American history, right? And I know a lot about America and USA, okay? Way more than the average American, right? And then me as a goddamn super nerd, you know what I mean, like anime and so on, I also know way more about Japan, honestly, than the average Japanese person. I'm not saying that I am the ultimate expert on history of Japan, right? But I'm saying that I am way more knowledgeable about Japan history than the average Japanese person online. But even more so, and even more importantly here, the same people though, right? They are claiming that only Japanese people have the right to either, disapprove or approve of Yasuke being a samurai. They have to shut the F up then if I am telling you that this game here, Valhalla, is racism towards Swedish people, that I have the right to say that, right? Because I am the actual noble person for Sweden. Only I have the right then to either say if Shieldmaidens are real, and they are not real, right? And if you disagree with me, you're not a racist because you are not, a Viking ancestor lineage thing. So you can't disagree with me, right? If I'm saying that Shieldmaidens are complete bullshit, right? You should be able to, disagree with me, have an actual debate, right? But if I just say that, well, you can't debate me because you're not Swedish, you don't have the right to debate me, that would sound incredibly dumb, right, But that's what they do with Yasuke, right, It's insane, and I'm so tired of it. And I think people see it all the time. It's a call to authority fallacy, it doesn't make any sense. But it's just so dumb to it. I mean, it's just so dumb. Because think about it, people that are really invested into something probably know more. I even had people wrote to me, I had one guy wrote to me on Reddit being like, oh, what do you know? Otaku incel guy, sits all day at home, just play all Japanese gaming and all this. Yeah, you're super into Japan. What do you know about Japan? I'm like, you said that I'm super into Japan and I spend all my day with Japanese stuff. So I probably know about Japan. Like what are people even saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So obviously I'm not gonna play this game because I'm not insane. So I'm just gonna talk about what I see here on the wiki or whatever, right? But what immediately grabbed my mind while Valhalla is quite racist or something, I don't know, but it's problematic, as I say, right? For us poor workers, right? You see, there is this word in Swedish and also in Danish one called toka. Okay, so toka, that means someone that's mentally insane. Specifically, it actually means a female mentally insane person. A toka is like some kind of bloodthirsty woman that kills people for fun or something. It's like a woman that's lost her mind and she just kills people or whatever. A toka is a raging berserk lady with no intelligence, and it's a very specific an insult to females, okay? Why is one of the main female characters, or one of the important character in this game called Toka Sinriksdottir, okay? Why? I mean this genuinely. I haven't played the game. I'm just now then going into all the dumb shit of this game, right? I'm just like, wait, why did they name one of the main female characters? Her name in basically is mentally insane, crazy woman Sindrik's daughter. That's her name. Like, that doesn't make any effing sense. That's a very, she always has a very offensive name. And I don't mean that's a joke, okay? I mean literally. This game is racist. This is a very offensive name in Swedish, okay? Assassin's Creed Valhalla is offensive. This is very, very offensive. And I mean it genuinely. This is an offensive name. I don't make a joke. And this name then, Sinrik, her dad's name, that's not a name, okay? I never heard it before in my life. And what you see when you go into this thing, I keep saying it, right? Some of the names are very offensive, so it doesn't make any sense in the language. But almost every name is like made up. None of them have actual real names. It doesn't make any sense. So the main character name is Eivor, which is an incredibly uncommon name. So, but I guess fine, okay. So that maybe it's a real name then, but it's like basically not used whatsoever. However, her father's name is Varin. Varin is not. Here that was Wikipedia, like, okay, the name Varin. Varin is a name, but it's not a Swedish, Norwegian, or Danish name. There's never been a single person from Scandinavia having this name. So why is the main character's father's name a made-up name basically in our country? You know what I mean? And honestly, this game, I'm gonna show you a lot of examples of this thing, but this game is seriously offensive because, like at least in the Assassin's Creed game, you know, they're giving them actual Japanese names, right? But in the Swedish game, everyone has a made-up name. It doesn't make any sense. Her mother's name is Rusta. That's not a name either. Or Rösta is a name, but that means like a vote. But it's a place too. But it's also like a really weird name, so that's also strange. Now, even worse, first name I see is a real name is Styrbjörn. They did misspell his name though. It's supposed to be like a cross over that O. So they misspelled his name, so that's a little offensive. Maybe the game is better to be fair though. However, the main character's name, now her last name, it's also misspelled, right? I mean, seriously, why are Ubisoft hate names? Why do they hate Scandinavian names for? Every name is wrong, so her name is, you know, it's misspelled because it's supposed to have this thing over her O in either like English, Danish, or like Icelandic, or if it's spelled in like the other language, you have to have a cross over it. So her name is not supposed to be without, you know, accent on it. Yeah, it has to be an accent on it, because it's dotter. It's supposed to be this thing, dotter. Because otherwise it's dotter, yeah, dotter. But it's spelled like dotter in the game, right? So why is the game so bad, you see? But in the game, right, they spell it like this, right, you know? And maybe the game's better than all people, but when I see this thing, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's all the time. Everyone's name is like misspelled in the game. And let's keep going here. So the game also have this thing called Jarlskona. The feminine form of Krona. This isn't real, okay? This is Yasuke all over again, seriously. This is the Yasuke all over again, but seriously. Jarlskona isn't a real thing, okay? I never heard it before in my life, genuinely. This morning is the first time I heard about this thing. And I thought I had a degree in this thing, I don't know, but I never heard it before at all. So Jarl is the same as English, you know, with an A, right? Earl. Maybe it says up here, yeah, there it is, yeah, Earl, right? So this is the Swedish version of that, Jarl. But Jarlskona, this just means wife, right? Or Krona, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. This is not a real thing. This is not like queen. This just says like Kona is Norwegian for wife. This just says the wife of the Jarl. It's not a title, okay? So the game is completely lying about it here. This is not true. And honestly, I'm gonna guess here that Ubisoft used another Lockley guy, right? Some crazy person that wrote some book that this isn't true, because this isn't an actual term that no one ever uses at all. Never heard of it in my life. And then here down here they have like, oh, someone wrote a book here, 15. But now let's go and Google it. But if you Google Jarlskona, you literally got nothing from it. Because it isn't real, right? So you only get like some kind of weird other game or something. You know, you get Assassin's Creed. You only get Assassin's Creed. This isn't real, okay? This isn't a real thing. Like, here's like, it's not a real thing. There's no historical person that had that title. So they're giving the characters completely made up bush title. This is Lockley all over again. I mean, I bet you they use some kind of like fake, you know, historian to do up this thing. Yeah, like whoever this person. Let's look at this Scandinavian article. Why is it in English for? I want to have it in Swedish at least, or in Norwegian or something, or Danish then, so I can read it in the actual language. But they're making some changes here in some random, like, I don't even know what it is. Genuinely, help me out here, guys. Leave a comment below. Here we go. So some random people in Austin, Texas, Society of Creative Anachronism has made up this word. Jarlskona, which just means the wife of Jarl in Norwegian. To English then, yeah, Jarlskona. Kona is his wife. It's not a real title. This guy, the Creative Anarchist people in Texas. I mean, okay, I love Austin, Texas. Okay, great city. I love city. But yeah, point. I'm like, who are you guys? I'm gonna be like, I'm the actual Norwegian here. But seriously, who are you in Austin, Texas, to tell me that my language of Norwegian, right? Because my father's Norwegian, my mother's Swedish, yeah. To tell me that our language is wrong, You guys are creative guys, so you invented a new word that Ubisoft uses now. This is actually, it keeps saying it actually is offensive to Scandinavia. This is not a real word, and the game keeps using it, okay? Assassin's Creed Valhalla is incredibly offensive, seriously. I mean, I freaking felt it, man. Like I said, before this video, I never played this game, right? I just played the game, whatever, right? But I was thinking that, given how incredibly badly, Shadow is with Yasuke, right? I'm sure that Valhalla also has enormously a lot of issues too, right? And I spent like 5 minutes to find this thing. This is a completely made-up word. This is not a real word. It's not a title. This is the samurai Yasuke thing all over again. They have given a character a title. They don't even exist. This is worse than the Yasuke thing. This is worse than the Yasuke thing. They're using some random people in Texas that made up a word, and that's now the title of the character in the game. That is like, well, this guy is a samurai. This guy made it up. Yeah, it's awesome. Like, this is worse than Yasuke, okay? This is worse than Yasuke. This is worse than this thing, okay? My people didn't build Sweden and Norway and Denmark and so on, so some people in America could make up words about it. This is seriously racism. Jesus Christ. I am offended by this, and I'm not even joking. This is offensive. I am offended. Can I be offended? That's fine too, right? Because I am white, right? Can I be offended? But this is kind of funny, because I never saw that as white, Grew up in Europe, you don't think it's white or black. You think as like, oh, I'm Norwegian and Swedish. Those over there, they're English. That's how actually we are in Europe. Yeah, we don't think like we are white. No, we're like, oh, English people. Exactly. We're like, no, those wankers. Yeah. We think like that. We don't think like white people. We're like, no. You and I are not the same. Yeah. We don't see that. No. We see it like, I am this European country. Yeah. I am the better country here. Yeah. We don't think like white and white. We're like, no. We're not the same whatsoever. Yeah. We're nothing close together. Yeah. Seriously. But this is offensive. They made this up here, and then Ubisoft. So Ubisoft is using this some random people in America made this up, and they're like, yeah, let's just call that for the main character or whatever. Yeah, this is worse than samurai. This is more. It's actually more offensive than Shadows. Yeah, this is dumber than Yasuke. Forget about Yasuke. This is dumber. This is way dumber. See, so my family is quite famous in Sweden. My ancestor did something quite big, and it still is a big thing in Sweden. I dox my family here, but it's a big thing on my father's side. On my mom's side, we were a military family mostly. This is my ancestor's sword that I had from my mother, right? This sword here is of course a little younger than the Viking era. It's more, Swedish Empire era from this sword is here. You can put it out here, right? My point is that, I am very, very Scandinavian, right? Very, very Swedish. And I know everything about history or whatnot, right? So I'm an historian. And when I tell you that Shieldmaidens are completely made up bullshit, that's a fact, right? And to play that, crazy Yasuke defense card now then, if you disagree with me, you can't, because I am Swedish and you are not, right? You don't have the property. Say with me. You have to also be Swedish to even come up with the argument. No, but seriously, right? Shieldmaidens are completely local, right? Let's talk about it. But honestly, I just hope people come at me. Come at me, you guys in most of America, and I will do the same thing you do every time someone says that, well, that guy in Japan is a liar, or that woman there. Remember the first video of a Japanese woman defending the Yasuke thing? And she was actually never in Japan. She was a Japanese woman, right, born in America. And she was like, oh, Yasuke is cool. She was very left-leaning, whatever, right? And people are, oh, look at this. This Japanese woman is saying that Yasuke was samurai. Ergo it's true, right? So, but then, as me then, a Swedish, Norwegian, Danish Viking is telling you that Shieldmaiden is not true, that ergo is not true, right? That's the same argument, okay? You can't disagree with me because you don't have the right to disagree with me, because you're not part of my people, You can't tell it I'm wrong, And even if you're Swedish or whatever, you're also wrong, because your family is not a noble family, so you can't come here and contact me, because you have to be a Swedish noble, or a Danish noble, or I will expect, okay, fine, Norwegian nobles, and also I guess Finnish nobles, which are you Swedish nobles, right? Östra Sverige. Unless you're that, you can't counter-argue me, right? That's kind of how they argue. Almost like sarcastic. But that's how they make up their worldview, right? Which I just want to bring it up here, because of course Shieldmaiden is completely insane, right? And I honestly feel I don't have to make more arguments that It's being like, well, I'm a noble. I know what's up here. My ancestor, they would never hire a woman for a man's job, you know. That's my point. No, but all jokes aside, right? Of course, Shieldmaiden are completely delusional take, right? And honestly, it's kind of funny because, I mean, I said earlier, I always hated Ubisoft, right? Because the games are just terrible. I don't hate them because they're Vogue, PC, or whatever, right? That's not what I care about. They're communists or whatever. I care about that. I always hated them for like the last 20 years or whatever, right? I always hated the first game. Because the only game I ever played was the first game. I thought it was terrible. Boring. Hate this like fake open world shit. Incredibly easy. Terrible combat design. I have genuinely hated every game they ever made, except maybe like the first Rayman or something in the 90s? I don't know. I think all their games are incredibly terrible, right? So when Valhalla was released, I didn't care about it. No one thought about it, whatever. I barely even mentioned everything you talk about, right? You know, not the Yasuke thing. Yasuke thing is a big thing, right? But let's be honest, this thing here is way more offensive than anything doing in the Yasuke thing, because there are no shield maidens. It's completely made up, right? There's no evidence of that. Of course, there were 1 or 2 women fighting or whatever, right? But this game has several shield maidens. You have the Tuka, which means insane woman, which is a very offensive name, but whatever. There's like Tuka is like a hardcore insult to females, so it's a very weird name, but I digress. So you have a bunch of shield maidens in this game, where that's ludicrous. That is much dumber than having Yasuke as a samurai. That's basically like having a bunch of female samurais running around the whole game. Instead of being like, at least that woman now is like a Japanese shinobi, right? But what it's basically like having like a 500 samurai female something. And again, of course, it existed some few female samurais now with some swords. They were more like sword ladies than anything. Yeah, but there were a few. There's one in the 1200 centuries of famous, whatever. I digress, I'll put a video. But I might bring it up because, of course, similarly, of course, a few women were fighting in the wars or whatever. But it was incredibly unheard of, right? It was incredibly strange. But in this game, then, it's just portrayed as, well, of course, you can be any gender. Women were fighting in all the wars. Well, it's completely insane, you know? There are basically absolutely zero evidence of any female whatsoever. Of course, you know, if you attack a Viking village, right, the women will defend themselves and so on, right? Obviously, but it's like there is no evidence whatsoever that they had, you know, the women going on the pillage trips, right? That the women will join them on the dragon ships, Drakbåtarna, and so on. There is just zero evidence of that, right? I say that as a historian, right? There is no evidence of that whatsoever. This whole thing is completely make-believe. And yeah, Valhalla is, of course, incredibly offensive and super vocal in a sense. Yeah, it really is. But it's just kind of like, it's not just that, oh, you're playing every or whatever. That to me is the big issue, honestly, in that sense. Because, of course, you can play as that one legendary waifu that could kill them all, right? I don't mind it, honestly, at all. I think the bigger issue, as I mentioned earlier, is that the game is portraying it as a very common thing, right? And that's how it becomes very vogue, because it's one thing to have a look at Mulan, right? The movie, right? Which is a terrible movie, insanely bad movie, the live so. But at least in Mulan, it's kind of like, well, this woman has she. You know what I mean? She's the legendary she lady. So people are mean to her anyway, but she's literally like, you know, the messiah, right? You know? So she can fight or whatever. Right? So I don't mind having like this super legendary Viking lady being the best warrior ever. I'm honestly fine with that. The problem is that the game is acting like it's completely normal. You know what I mean? The problem isn't that, yes, Shieldmaiden is a complete make-believe thing. It's a completely super vocal, right, as well. But again, it's made worse that everyone in the game kind of acts like, well, of course you can have like a female Viking chieftain, and of course the female warrior ladies are equally as strong as many, you know. Of course there are 5 billion female Viking shield maidens. Just have your shields, but of course that's super common, right? That I think is a bigger issue with the game, honestly. That the whole game kind of like portrays it as nothing out of the ordinary. Storyline makes no sense, right? There would be, even if you had shield maidens, there's no way that a woman would be the leading the pillage thing. There's no way. There's zero example in history of like a female warrior or Viking lady being the chieftain or being like the leader of the clan, you know, being in charge of the clan or whatever. It makes zero sense, right? I'm honestly bothered, and this might be nitpicking, but I'm bothered to call it the Raven clan. Like, why is everything so bad in this game for? Like, why isn't it called Korp clanen for? You know what I mean? You're not gonna call the Japanese clans, you know. They're not gonna translate them, right? So in Shadows, they're obviously gonna call the Japanese clan. If you had a Japanese clan, the for example was called Kuro. Okay, random word. Kuro means black in Japanese, you know, or you know whatever. Svart in Swedish as well. Svart in Germany, right? So I want to say I find it. Am I the only one? Isn't it kind of weird actually? I guess it's because like Vikings are basically white people, but isn't it kind of weird because again, right? In the Japanese setting, at least they're gonna keep all the Japanese clan names. You know what I mean? They're not gonna like translate them, right? But for this like Norwegian name, instead of calling it Korpten or whatever, right? You translate it into Raven. Yeah, I find it just kind of weird. You know, it's like why can't my people have this? Why are we not allowed to have calling our original name? You know, and it's not clan, it's clan with a K. So, you know, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're obviously gonna, it's kind of weird. This is also very strange. So, obviously, Harald, is an actual person then, right? But again, this is offensive. Why is his name Fairhair? This is his real name. That's what the Englishman is calling him, right? This over here, Harfagr, yeah. Why are they calling him in the Norwegian or Danish name for it? Why have we, like, translated here for? It's like, it's always like this all the time. The Vikings didn't have tattoos. You know that, right? Like, this game is got cultural appropriation. The Vikings didn't have any tattoos. No. The Vikings didn't have any tattoos. There's no evidence whatsoever. That's a myth, you know. There's no evidence of that. There was no technology at the time that had tattoos. So that's also kind of offensive. So apparently there's a long ship. Now, we do call it Longskepp sometimes, but the real name of course is Dragon Ship, right? Drakskepp. So that to me again is offensive. Why have they renamed it to this name? Because I mean, obviously they're more famous for the dragon symbolism of them, right? They're calling them Longskepp. That's not a lame name. Dragon ship would be the actual. And a side note then, how to say it? The benefit of a dragon ship is that it can go very shallow, right? They're very, very, you know, long, right? And they can then glide in to the beaches very easily. So they're very good at like getting up to like a port city something to raid it. That was an advantage of the Vikings. The ships were very good at like shallow waters, right? The older big. So now this game then of course is made also by Ubisoft Montreal, right? Which means that it's made by, you know, other Europeans, so to speak, right? So it is cultural appropriation, right? But also apparently there's a lot of issues with the development of this game. Let's read it here, right? Amid allegations of multiples misconducts in this game. Oh, I'm so surprised that the studio that keeps being offensive to everyone outside where they live. But yeah, so the director was a creep or whatever, right? Also, again, you know, very common for these places and usually why they reach with their verticity, right? But yeah, important to point out though. A lot of issues here, blah blah. The game is released, it says well because it's a big company, but no one actually likes the game. But yeah, what do you guys think? Because I mean, seriously, right? Isn't this game more offensive than Yasuke? It really is, honestly, right? Because I mean, Shieldmaiden is a complete made-up concept, right? So that is kind of like if instead of having Yasuke as a samurai, it's like if Yasuke was a lamurai, you know? He was a lamurai, the only lamurai that ever existed. You know what I mean? It's a very like magical way to look at it, right? All the names, I mean not all of the names, but most of the names that I see as important names are made up. Or from other countries, like Vanille, that's not like a real name. It's also kind of weird. I feel it's like, how hard can it be, you know? I mean, honestly, how hard can it be to make a game about like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, mostly these countries, right? And have actual names. I mean, again, Vinland Saga, I made a video linked below for that, where I explain how to pronounce the names. For example, one character in that manga is called Ketil. It's spelled Ketil. So everyone in America, oh Ketil, you know, or Canute. But his name actually is Kjetil. You know, Kjetil, that K sound. And of course, Canute is pronounced Knut, right? Or Knud in Danish. So I made a video about that, for example. But at least in that manga and anime, all of the names, not all of them, but like 90% of the names are actually real names. Like the author actually went in, looked at the list, this is a name, right? Some of them are, of course, less common, some are more common, but almost all of them are real names. In this game here, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia, right? I'm just looking at, like, the main character and so on. And, okay, so one of the main characters has an offensive, like, term as a name. Like, it's really weird. and all the names are made up, right? Or like a France name or something. And it's kind of funny, right? Because like it keeps saying, as I said earlier too, they're also like, renaming sort of stuff, right, into English. Where again, I am sure in the Japanese Shadows game, right, you're gonna have like the Dati clan or whatever, Tokugawa clan. Well, yeah, obviously the Oda clan and so on, right? And they're not gonna like translate what those names mean, right? Let's say that again, Oda clan Oda meant, I don't know, Firebird, right? Whatever is a random thing. But they're not gonna call it like the Firebird clan. You call it the Oda clan, right? But if you had like a Swedish clan that was called Eldfågel, that means Firebird, then in this game they're gonna call it Firebird clan. That is actually, I keep saying, genuinely, isn't that more offensive? Just because it's like, because they're kind of like white people up there, yeah. Scandinavia is just a bunch of Vikings, and they're kind of like white, so we can just rewrite everything about the history, rechange the names, made up a lot of bad names, misspell all the names too, right? They're terrible. Make up multiple Shieldmaidens, go and also the stupid thing with the made up title thing, Jarlskona. It just means the wife of the Jarl. Yeah, Kona is his wife in Norwegian. It's just I think it's so funny too that there was like an Austin, Texas creative place. A creative writing dudes have made this word. Because it's basically like, instead of calling someone the Queen, Queen of England or whatever, right? There's a title, Queen, right? It's kind of like, instead of calling that, it's like Elizabeth, kingswife. You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, wasn't she Elizabeth, Queen of England? No, she's kingswife of England. Right? That sounds really weird. That's the title. And I genuinely mean it. That's what it says in Norwegian. Jarlskona again, his wife. She's a title plus wife. Yeah, it's like, oh, no, that's not a real thing. I genuinely, and I really, really mean it, genuinely. I keep saying it, but I really mean it. I have never in my life ever seen that word before on my video, called Jarlskona. That's a completely new word to me. I had to Google it, right, make this video, and then that's what I found, that it's just made up by some people in Texas. Like, that's how insane it is. And these guys are like, let's use that. It's like, it's really badly done, seriously. And then the gameplay also is terrible. I haven't even played the game, but like I said earlier, I hate all the games. I think the game is terrible. But yeah, Jesus Christ, Valhalla is super offensive. Yeah, Jesus Christ, man, it's insanely offensive. Anyways, let the video subscribe, press the like button. Want to learn about Sweden, Norway, and so on? Check out my links below. Talking about, for example, the names in the Vinland Saga and so on. I will go all of the names, and I also explain like different nature stuff, and I explain why some of the names are what they are, because they might be from like a region of Norway that has that title, that waterfalls or something. So yeah, I hope you guys like that, and I see you guys and have a great day.